Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Cook. I will be the upcoming team lead on our 2020 Badgerloop team, our Pod 5 competition team. And the point of this presentation is to give a crash course into batteries, the chemistry behind them, how they work, a batteries 101, if you will. So I'm really excited to work with you all this year, and I just wanted to, kind of give you some background knowledge before we start diving deeper into more like hardware projects. So, we've all seen batteries before, such as, AA batteries that we, stick in our calculators or, power tool batteries or even car batteries. But primarily in this presentation, we're going to be looking more towards rechargeable batteries because that's what we use in our pod. So rechargeable batteries, they consist of, three really main parts. So there's the anode, which is the negative part of the cell, the cathode, which is the positive cell, and they are separated by an electrolyte. And typically it's a liquid electrolyte. So for those who don't have that chemistry background, an electrolyte is a substance that allows the flow of ions. And we can get more deeper into this later. So a lithium ion battery is what we use in Badgerloop, specifically a lithium polymer battery. So the main difference between the broader lithium ion and the more specific lithium polymer battery is that lithium ion utilizes a liquid electrolyte, while lithium polymer utilizes a polymer electrolyte. And a polymer it's really large subunits or chains of the same repeating molecule. So not to get too deep into the chemistry there, the main thing you should know is that lithium polymer batteries they create a higher specific energy, meaning you can pack more energy per unit mass. So this means that our pod can be lighter and have more energy than it would with, say, a base lithium ion battery. So looking into how these batteries work, if we connect them to an external circuit to power, to power some other, thing. So here in this case, we're powering a light. So this is the discharging cycle. We're supplying the power. So here, electricity or current rather flows from the cathode to the anode, the positive side of the cell to the negative side of the cell. So as a result, if you recall your chemistry background, electrons flow in the opposite direction as current does. So while current flows from the cathode to the anode, positive to negative, electrons flow from the anode to the cathode, the opposite direction. So these electrons originally are in the anode, and when the electrons leave the anode, they leave behind positive cells as well, because negative combines with positive to form a stable molecule. So they leave behind these positive particles, and these positive particles in this case are called lithium ions, hence the name lithium ion battery. So while these electrons flow from the anode to the cathode, the lithium ions eventually want to meet back up with these electrons because negative attracts to positive. So while the electrons move across, the lithium ions follow them across the electrolyte until they eventually get to the cathode and undergo a reaction. We don't need to get too deep into the chemistry, but they undergo a reaction and they become a part of the cathode. And this really continues to happen until the anode no longer has any lithium ions or electrons to supply. And as a result, the external circuit goes dead. As you can see, the light here went off. And the cell is completely discharged and needs to charge back up again if we're going to use it. So the charging cycle works in really the exact opposite way. So if we supply or if we hook up a power source to the battery to charge it so that we can use it again, it causes electrons in the cathode to split out of the cathode, and they move from the cathode to the anode, and like the discharging cycle, these lithium ions follow them back across the electrolyte where they eventually meet up at the anode and react to just become a part of the anode. At this point, the cell is completely charged and we're ready to use it again. We can use it to power our pod here in Badgerloop and get the pod to move. So there are many types of structures of rechargeable battery cells, such as cylindrical, button, what have you. But we use pouch cells here in Badgerloop. So as you can see, this is a tall, thin structure. So the main perk of these is that you're able to compact a lot of them in really a small space. So here's our battery pack from pod 4, our last pod. As you can see, this is a pretty tight area, but there are 72 of these pouch cells packed in this area. So we're able to have a large amount of energy per unit volume as a result. So that's all the material I had. I'm really looking forward to working with you this upcoming year, and I hope that this little crash course kind of gave you a decent sense, a little bit into how batteries work from a chemistry standpoint. And I'm looking forward to getting into more hardware projects with you. Thank you.